Chapter 2. Indigo stood at the edge of the forest, gazing over the expanse of open fields and contemplating the long journey ahead. He had been to this border many times, but had never ventured beyond the safety of the trees. Knox stood at his shoulder, eyes fixed ahead. Although they were twins, the brothers bore no resemblance except for their deep amber eyes. Indigo was pale and had the classic markings of a grey wolf, with a white face and a grey brow. Knox was jet black and was slightly bigger and bushier than his brother. His eyes blazed like fire as he stared out into the distance. "Ready, brother?" Indigo said. Knox gave an almost imperceptible nod, maintaining his gaze on the horizon. They had been preparing for this moment for weeks, picking the brains of the older wolves for information that might help them in their quest. There were several large forests to the southwest, they had learned. The weather was milder there, with less snow in winter, but the distance was great and the journey would be treacherous. They would need each other until they reached their new home. There would be no rivalry while they travelled. For now, they were equals. Indigo took a deep breath and tentatively stepped beyond the border of the forest, the only home he had ever known. Though he did not relish the journey ahead, his resolve was strong. The time had come for them to leave. As juveniles, they had first enjoyed and later tolerated the leadership of their father and uncle. As young adults, they had become discontented, but with the birth of 2 litters of pups earlier this summer, the situation had become intolerable. Both Indigo and Knox were central to the pack's hunting team. Their abilities kept them amongst the middle ranks, having little power, but with sufficient access to food once the top dogs had their fill. Pups, however, took precedence over all pack members when it came to distributing food. With 9 little mouths to feed, in addition to the adults and juveniles, rations had become lean. Why should they work so hard to feed the pups and go hungry themselves? Eating wasn't their only compulsion, though. Both Indigo and Knox had seen the power their father possessed at the head of the pack, and they desired that power for themselves. They knew they did not have either the strength or the allies to overthrow their father. If they wanted to become top dogs, they would have to establish their own pack. But this forest could not sustain any more wolves. They needed to find a new forest far away from here. They had not said goodbye. Neither brother was particularly sentimental, though Indigo had felt a slight sadness at leaving his mother. Earlier in the day, he had sat with her in the warmth of the afternoon sun, lazily watching the other members of the pack as they played and relaxed, all full from the morning's hunt. He had her colouring and shared many of her personality traits. Tierra was a strong wolf, sharp and nimble, but she was as compassionate as she was fierce. She knew when to encourage and when to chide. He could see why his father had chosen her. Tierra had smiled at him, but her eyes were melancholic, as if she knew this would be the last time they sat together. "Be patient with life, Indy," she had said. "You are brave and strong-willed, like your father. Your time will come." Uncomfortable with her sudden candour, he had stood up to walk away. "Be wary of your brother," Tierra had added unexpectedly. "He is your friend, but he is also your strongest competitor, and he has a cunning you do not possess. Always keep him in your sights." Indigo had held her gaze for several seconds before sloping off to join the others. "Time to go," Indigo said. "We have about 5 hours left before sunrise. We need to put as much distance as we can between us and the pack before then." The brothers took off at pace across the fields. There was no cover here. The grass had been cut short by grazing cattle. Their only cover was darkness, and tonight wasn't particularly dark, the full moon being just a few days away. This was unfamiliar territory. They had seen humans in these fields many times. They could only hope they were now sleeping and that the fields ahead would provide better cover.